Welcome to Bastard Quest. I'm the Game Bastard Kyle.
I'm Todd.
Corey.
Austin.
Today we are playing Brindlewood Bay, which is a role-playing game about a group of elderly women who find themselves solving actual murder mysteries in their quaint New England town. It is basically Murder, She Wrote meets Cthulhu.
Okay.
I wish you guys could see the cover art. It's really something special.
We'll throw it up on the socials.
Yeah, it's a group of three little old ladies looking down, basically at an Innsmouth Leviathan coming up.
A split head.
So
Well, ain't that something?
this is a game written by Jason Cordova, and from, I think the company they're operating under right now is the Gauntlet RPG. I know he's associated with the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is I believe it's in Texas. It's an organization I know of. Well, it's a big gaming organization, and I believe Jason Cordova runs that.
The CIA?
Yeah, the CIA. And this is one of their games. I've been excited to play this for a long time. It is based on the Powered by the Apocalypse system.
Which I believe we used for Root.
Correct.
Hey.
Basically, any roll in the game, you're going to roll 2d6, and then you're going to either add 1, 2, or 3, or subtract 1, 2, or 3, depending on your character.
Yeah, and there's 5 abilities in this. Root was also pretty simple, so...
Yes.
And a lot of fun, to my memory.
Oh, yeah. We had a good, fun time with Root.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this game was suggested by Patreon members on the Discord, so I
was.
don't recall off the top of my head. I think it was Boo Boo who had suggested it.
I thought it was humongous.
It might have been. All these aliases on there.
So we're going to make characters. It is really simple, but there's some great stuff in character creation. Normally we would do this on our Patreon, and it would be a Patreon exclusive, but it's fast and fun, so we're going to do it on the live. So first thing you need to pick your name, and again, you are a little old lady. That is required by the rules.
Okay.
Do any of you know what your name is going to be?
Yes.
Yes.
Todd?
My character will be named Lurleen Kitten Ivy.
Good.
She is a southern transplant to New England.
Is
Yes.
Kitten her actual middle name, or
That's a nickname.
so Lurleen Ivy?
Yeah, Lurleen Kitten Ivy. She prefers kitten.
Yeah.
She work on the boat.
Corey, do you know what your character's name is?
Yeah, my character's name is Splenda Ham. Right?
Austin?
My name is Birdie Ruth Raven.
Okay.
The Ruth Raven is a hyphen.
Got it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
she's from Connecticut.
Sure.
She's not from the South. That's illegal there.
Yeah,
Right?
And I don't even think they have last names in the Midwest.
that's right.
No.
You go west of the Mississippi, it's all ugh and thog.
Yep.
Son of Brian.
People coming out of mud houses and caves.
Yeah, it's the world famous Ope tribe.
Yeah.
Like South Dakota. What is even happening there? I have no
Corn.
idea.
That's it.
Yeah. Do they have corn in South Dakota?
Yeah, of
I mean, I'm
course.
sure it gets shipped there. I just didn't know if that was a
Yeah.
cash crop.
Oh, of course.
We have stones we will ship to you. It's just a barren wasteland. That's what I pictured South Dakota. It's like,
It's a lot of farm country.
Yeah. It's
Flat
just a
and
barren
boring.
wasteland. They have stone, so they like do a lot of carving. Like, it's just like trinkets everywhere made out of stone.
it's basically like
Fields
Andy
full.
Dufresne's cell.
Yeah.
But watch them. They'll send you some hardened cow patties.
The South Dakota stone currency.
That's how they trade and
It's
live.
just polished gypsum.
It's where they get their nourishment. Stones.
Welcome to South Dakota. Here's your bag of rocks.
Here's your bag of rocks and a plate of manure.
You know,
Ohio has found peace.
if they were listening right now, the 3 people that live in South Dakota would be really mad at us.
Yeah, they put down their limestone sandwiches and say, hey,
Yeah.
I don't appreciate that.
They can't afford the internet.
So
The cords are made of stone.
Like the corduroys.
No, they're the cords to plug in the
Yeah.
internet.
Oh,
You go to the movie in South Dakota and they're like, you want butter on your gravel?
So the next thing you're going to pick is your style. You can pick one or make up your own, and these are things like Blau's Barn, Hippy Dippy, Martha's Vineyard, Jackie O, just the kind of style of your little old lady.
Okay.
All right.
my style is going to be bingo night.
Okay. You're
that
making up your
tracks.
own then.
I am.
Cool.
That's, I mean, we all get that one. If you're from anywhere with,
No, Birdie's got one of those green visors and a lot of those markers and a cigarette just dangling.
Daubers is what they call them in the industry.
Ah,
In
yes.
the community. Not to offend our bingo community.
yeah, 14% of Bastard Quest listeners play bingo.
They're bingoist.
Well, they wish they did. We reference Bastard Quest Bingo a lot.
It's true.
Todd, do you know what your style is?
Yes.
What is it?
Sizzler. The buffet.
Todd has also created his own.
I'm being appropriate. I get it, but
She likes the buffet.
yeah. Well, are there Sizzlers anymore?
No, and she's very upset about it.
Bring back Ponderosa.
No. Ponderosa cannot touch the Sizzler.
Yeah, that was epic.
There's one in South Dakota.
Corey.
I'm going to choose from the list here. I'm going with Up in Pumps.
All right. So the next thing you need to pick is your cozy activity. Now, your cozy activity is basically a hobby, but it's also an activity you can do in a game to sort of to heal your character if you don't really get injured like that in this game, but you might need to recover some, and you do it with a cozy activity.
Okay. It's basically like a long rest
Sort of, yeah.
kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously it could be gardening, antiquing, scrapbooking, whatever. And you guys have to pick different things. You can't have the same cozy
Stone
activity.
polishing in South
Yeah,
Dakota.
well, if you were in South Dakota, yeah.
Yeah. Where's me rock tumbler? Actually, the stone, they wouldn't use a rock tumbler because the stones in South Dakota, the more edges, that's how many dollars it is.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's
the
how they
value.
measure their value. Yeah.
If you got a smooth one,
Their
it's just,
custom currency.
right.
One guy imported a bunch of D100s from Norse Foundry, and he rules South Dakota now. So does anybody know what their cozy activity is going to be?
I believe Birdie's is going to be antiquing and furniture.
Okay.
She makes a day of it. You know, like she goes out, browses the shops, and then closes the day out with a nice long 5-hour bingo hustle.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure she has a bunch of antique furniture in her cozy New England house.
Not a one. She just loves
No.
going and looking. She doesn't spend a red cent.
Oh, I
Just
see.
ask questions about everything
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then stops by the local brewery and asks if they take Groupon.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Splenda Ham's going with scrapbooking.
Okay.
She's got a lot of memories.
Yeah.
She's actually, she's pretty well-traveled woman.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't live and like grow up in one particular place like everybody
Yeah.
in South Dakota.
I have to say, if
Hey,
your
you cannot
style
leave.
is up in pumps, I do imagine you've lived a lot of places.
If you're in South Dakota and you move and you see paper, you just freak the fuck out.
Lurleen Kitten Ivy's cozy activity is collecting, and she collects spoons.
That
Yeah,
fits.
cool.
Yeah. I
You know,
get
when
it.
you travel, you get a spoon.
Yeah.
Like a Opryland spoon.
Yeah.
South Dakota stone spoon.
Stone spoon, yeah. Ohio heroin spoon.
We didn't forget about you.
Heats up good.
So I'm going to read to you about cats. Which, by that I mean concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. And this is just a brief kind of explainer of the game. So the concept is, obviously, role-playing game about a group of elderly women, members of the local Murder Mavens mystery book club, who find themselves investigating and solving actual murders. So over the course of the campaign, though, they are going to become increasingly aware that there are supernatural forces that connect the cases they're working on. In particular, a cult dedicated to the dark, monstrous aspect of the goddess Persephone.
So QAnon, basically.
Essentially.
All of our nanas have that.
Yeah. The game is directly inspired by the television show Murder, She Wrote. The aim of the characters of the story is to keep their community safe by investigating the murders taking place. Our aim as players is to learn more about these characters, as well as to paint a picture of Brindlewood Bay.
So Brindlewood Bay is the city we're in, right?
It is, yes.
What, does it say what state this is in?
Oh, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay, cool.
For sure. Yeah. Well, New England. I say Massachusetts because when I think New England, I think, just outside of
When you
Boston.
think New England and Lovecraft, where you go.
I guess it could be Rhode Island if we want to be assholes.
Well,
So the tone bounces between cozy and the creepy. Most of the time it will be fairly lighthearted, but occasionally will get very dark and menacing. Some kitschy, campy humor is permissible here. Well, I think we'll have that covered.
okay, thank you. Glad to get the reins off for once.
I'm glad we got permission
Yeah.
to
Well,
really let loose.
guys, just let your hair down.
Thank you.
For the first time on this show, don't take it too seriously.
Okay.
Usually such a self-serious slog, this fucking show.
If we've had one serious session, I swear to
Been
God.
all this time putting my hair in a bun to get ready for this.
It looks really nice.
Thank you.
Pulled most of it out. He looked horrible.
Ow.
I actually went to the tattoo parlor and had liver spots tattooed all up and down my arms
Gosh dang.
to play this character.
Yeah. Kyle, we've been meaning to speak to you. Todd's method for this podcast is beginning to become a problem. We've played too many games. He's been too many people. Too much of Barge Hog remains.
Right.
I mean,
Now he's barge hog with osteoporosis.
He's on his 7th ball python.
So the final part of Cats is the subject matter, where it could involve murder, threats to animals and children, ritual magic, human sacrifice, and other dark subjects may come up in the game from time to time. And the next section is safety tools, which I don't care about the safety of the people on this show, but if you're playing this game in real life, it's probably a good thing to consider. It's more and more common in role-playing games, and it's probably a good idea, especially when you're playing with new people that you don't know very well.
That is something worth mentioning, I think. We have seen that more and more often in role-playing games, and it really kind of comes down to, I believe, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of times it comes down to just making sure kind of players feel safe in whatever environment is being created.
Yeah.
The first time we encountered it was Good Society. I know that one was really kind of built around making sure no matter what kind of character you created and no matter what kind of setting you adhered to, everyone in the role play kind of felt safe and empowered to make the decisions they wanted to make.
Yeah.
Well, you play games to have fun, so.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, we should issue a disclaimer at the beginning of every episode of this.
We should.
We already say apologies to all nations, but we should expand that to all peoples.
I've been thinking about making a T-shirt that says that.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
perhaps just the known universe.
Yeah, the sad thing about safety tools is that we really needed them back in the 80s and the 90s, and we definitely didn't have them, because that's when there'd always be that super weird guy who would want to talk about sex way too much in way too weird a context.
Well,
so what is the elf princess wearing? I don't know, Gary. Shut up.
and that was Gary Gygax. Like, I know your pedigree, dude, but you're being a bit much.
Yeah. So the next thing to do is abilities, which there are 5 abilities in this game: vitality, composure, reason, presence, and sensitivity. And so you guys get to add 1 to any of these abilities. So Todd, what are your abilities right now?
Well, I have a 0 in vitality, 1 in composure, 1 in reason, 0 presence, and -1 sensitivity.
That's how it starts
Yes.
automatically, yeah.
So I am going to add 1 to vitality.
All right. Austin?
I had the same thing. I added a 1 to my presence
Okay.
because she's played bingo. Birdie's a loud woman.
Corey?
I added 1 to composure, so I now have a 2 in composure.
Okay. So the next thing to do is choose your Maven moves. So if you're familiar with a Powered by the Apocalypse game, they run on a mechanic called moves, which is essentially actions that characters can take in the game. You all share a number of the same moves, but you're going to each choose one individual from the Maven moves. And these are all named after male detectives in TV or literature. So they're actually divided. One group is television and one group is literature. And you have to choose if you guys are going to get the ones from literature or television. We're picking television.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So glance over the Maven moves and we'll come right back to figure out which one you guys have picked.
Okay.
All right.
Corey, who did you pick?
I picked Remington Steele.
Oh? What does Pierce Brosnan let you do?
You're very talented at passing yourself off as someone you're not. If there's a piece of identification or disguise that would help you with your ruse, you have it. Say what it is and add it to your cozy little place.
What's that mean?
So your cozy little place is your home, and you can add items to it as the game plays out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
Todd, who did you pick?
Jim Rockford.
Nice.
Excellent choice. What does Jim do?
At the beginning of each session, the keeper will narrate an answering machine message you received. The message is always from the same unknown person, and they will ask you to do some particular task seemingly unrelated to the mystery. If you complete the task in the same session it was assigned, mark XP. The messages and tasks will get increasingly strange and disturbing the more marks you have on the Crown of the Void.
Jesus.
No two Mavens can ever have this move at the same time.
Austin, what'd you get?
Well, I am, of course, a Selleck fan, so I'm going to have to take Thomas Magnum. You are a secret personal friend of Robin Masterson, the mysterious author of the Gold Crown Mysteries. You have access to Robin's resources whenever you are outside Brindlewood Bay, her homes, her vehicles, and even her checking account, which, Kyle, is where I actually get my furniture.
I like how Gordon Shumway's on here. That's fucking Alf. Was he a detective?
I guess so.
Yeah, okay.
So fast and loose with the definition, but yes.
So Robin Masterson and the Gold Crown Mysteries are obviously a fictional author in a fictional series of books in the game Brindlewood Bay. And that's mainly the books that you read at your book club.
Okay. It's kind of the Agatha Christie of this world.
It is the Agatha Christie. Everybody is, except Robin Masterson, is alive and a famous writer.
Right.
Okay. Now that everyone has made your Mavens, we're going to do some introductions. So here's what you have to do. You're going to introduce us to your character. This is a standard part of the game, actually. You need to tell us 3 key aspects. You have to tell us about your deceased partner, any children or pets you have, and your career before you retired to Brindlewood Bay. Todd, go.
Well, hi there. My name is Lurleen Kitten Ivy. You can call me Kitten. Everybody does. I'm originally from Kentucky, where I was married to my husband, Herman Ivy. He was in the coal business back in the day. Now, in the 60s, we moved up here to Brindlewood Bay, up here to Massachusetts, and...
We can't play this anymore. I just decided. This is what?
Well, here I'm going to try to explain. Now, of course, understand back in the 60s, I was a housewife. Okay, I didn't care what my husband did for a living. Didn't know a thing about his job. All I cared is that he brought money home every week. So when he told me that he was being transferred up to Massachusetts for the coal business, I didn't give it a thought. It turns out once we got up there, he wasn't moving up there to be in the coal business. He followed some young split tail up there. Now, one thing about the North, they do have the best divorce lawyers in the country, because I took that man for everything he was worth, and every penny he made from that day on went into my pocket until the day that man died, and it sure is a shame what happened to that young girl.
Oh, my Lord.
But we never had any kids. I don't have any pets. It would take away from my spoon collecting.
Right.
Okay. So the first murder mystery could be... Kitten could be the first suspect.
I don't know that it's a mystery.
Pretty straightforward.
She's a firecracker.
Austin?
Well, hey, everyone. My name's Birdie Ruth Raven.
What is with the animal names?
Yeah.
I moved up here from Florida with my husband, Myron, and now he was a volunteer firefighter, and so, of course, he eventually joined the constitutional militia, and...
As you do.
Tragically, his AR-15 went off while he was cleaning it one night, and so I've been here alone with my Yorkie, Steven, for the last 25 years.
The old volunteer firefighter to militia pipeline.
Yeah, it happens.
Love it.
I'd never had much of a career. I made a lot of money driving cars from Nashville to Kentucky after they had been purchased by dealerships, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Is she a mule? Didn't know it?
She absolutely is.
Okay. All
She
right.
absolutely knew it.
Hauling lewds.
But that is how she got to know Robin Masterson, the author of the Gold Crown Mysteries. See, one of the cars she was driving had a dead body in the trunk, which turned out to be the plot of one of Miss Masterson's novels.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So sometimes crime fiction writers will interview criminals and cops and attorneys and stuff to get material. I assume this was one of the former.
And car dealers.
And car dealers.
90% of crime happens on...
I said criminals.
Yeah.
Well, Bertie's the type to like chase down the author and say, "Hey, I was driving that car when they found the dead body in it. Would you like to interview me, please?"
Yeah.
And so eventually they became fast friends.
All right. Corey?
Well, I'm Splenda Ham. Never took a husband, but many lovers. From some people you may know, such as Yul Brynner and Barry Goldwater. I've lived in many parts of the country, California for a spell, in Washington, D.C., and Ohio. And never had any children, but many a pregnancy. I had them taken care of, but very generous lovers paid for that.
I lived my life $400 at a time.
Yes. Well, in the 60s, it was much cheaper.
I like to imagine that she had an affair with Barry Goldwater in California and then Yul Brynner in D.C.
Right. Yeah.
He was in town doing The King and I.
Yeah.
I actually had a punch card for the local clinic and got the 10th one for free. I think Subway ripped them off. I never had a career per se, but I did have many friends who were very generous to me, just out of the kindness of their hearts.
Who she was also having sex with.
Yes.
I like the fact that her last name is Ham. It kind of stays on the animal theme.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Kitten, Raven, and Ham.
Yeah.
So you guys realize that the point of the characters was not to make criminals. You're investigating criminals, right?
What did Splenda do illegal?
Prostitution.
That's not prostitution.
Yeah, yes, it is.
I disagree.
You can disagree all you want.
She was fucking friendly, Kyle.
She's not a prostitute.
Yes, that's like the classic, high-class courtesan excuse. Oh, these are just my gentleman friends.
Wait, but by that explanation, then Nancy Reagan was also a criminal.
Yes.
I used to be her fluffer. For her and Rock Hudson. Friendly.
But, this brings up an interesting point. When you see those little old people and you think, oh, they're so cute. Some of them used to be crazy assholes.
They blew Yul Brynner.
or murdered their husband's mistress.
It's true.
I was thoroughly investigated after that young split tail took her own life by overdosing on heroin. And the reason they investigated me was just because they knew I had a spoon collection, and the spoon that she was using was one from Busch Gardens.
All right. Have we talked about the midwives of the Fragrant Void?
Not in a while.
Not since church.
No.
So this probably won't be relevant to our game because we're likely just going to play one mystery. Well, if we really like it, we might play multiples. But there's multiple mysteries in the game that you can, multiple episodes essentially of the TV show, Brindlewood Bay. And there's a meta plot behind it. There's a meta scheme, right? Like each mystery, the midwives of the Fragrant Void, which is this Cthulhian cult, are actually behind everything. So if you play through a whole campaign of this, it gets more weird and Lovecraftian as you go on.
Yeah.
And of course, the midwives are ultimately behind everything.
Spoiler alert.
Though in the initial mysteries, they're more pretty straightforward, right? But there's at least, there's supposed to be void clues in each one, like some connection to the midwives that are also operating in Brindlewood Bay. And they're trying to do something horrible, like, unseal some abomination or whatever.
Sure.
So just a few notes on the rules. We have talked, it's generally a Powered by the Apocalypse game, which there's lots of those out there and lots of examples online. I think we go into the rules pretty heavily on our Roots series. If you're a fan and you're interested, go back and listen to those episodes. There's advantage and disadvantage in this game, which I don't remember. Is that in other PBTA games, or do you guys recall?
I don't know. It's not our job to keep up with that
shit. It is, actually.
We just show up and goof.
Yeah.
I do want to say we had advantage or edge or something.
So if you get an advantage in Brindlewood Bay, it might be a move that gives you an advantage, or if you use an unmarked item from your cozy little place, you roll 3 dice and keep the 2 highest.
Okay.
Disadvantage, you roll 3 dice, keep the 2 lowest.
And this is all D6, right?
It's all D6.
Got it.
Cool. Yeah. The standard roll is 2D6. You add one of your ability modifiers. Trying to beat a 7+. Anything below a 7 is a miss. And generally the other tiers are 7 to 9 or 10 to 11 or 12+, depending on what the roll is. So now you also have a move called the Crowns. The keeper in this game, the game master, is supposed to be pretty hard on the players. And when you're facing too much adversity, you can use a tool called putting on a crown. After a die roll, after an outcome has been narrated, the player can choose to put on a crown and increase their die result by 1 success tier. So if you had a miss, you could advance it to a 7 or 9. Now, if you look on your character sheet, it has 2 different categories, the Crown of the Queen and the Crown of the Void. And so under the Crown of the Queen, when you put on this crown, mark and narrate any you wish. A flashback, and the first one is a flashback of your fondest memory of your late partner. So you have that flashback, and then I think of it as like, in an old 80s show where they would sometimes imply something was definitely going to happen in a commercial break and you return and it's something completely different happens.
Yes.
That's sort of what this is. You go back and change the narrative of what we saw to what actually happened.
Okay.
And then you have a couple standard moves. The two main ones are the day move and the night move. And these can be used for just about anything. The day move, when you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or use your nerve, then roll with an appropriate ability. And you can basically do anything through the course of the mystery. Now, the difference in a day move or a night move is the night moves are more dangerous. If it's something at night, you're automatically in more peril, in greater trouble, and more at risk. They don't, strictly speaking, have to be only at day or only at night, but the obvious peril of the situation can modify that. But generally, it will be day or night.
So, Kyle, there's a particular descriptor on night moves, which involves us telling you what we're afraid will happen.
Yes.
If we fail, and you tell us each time how it's worse than we fear.
Yeah, the night move is always worse than whatever you state. Then there's the meddling move. When you search for a clue, conduct research, or otherwise gather information, describe how you're doing so, and roll with an appropriate ability. And on a hit, you find a clue. The keeper will tell you what it is. Now, if you roll high enough on a meddling move, you find a void clue, which, again, is some indication of the Midwives of the Fragrant Void, and the meddling move is going to be probably your most common move, because you're going to be looking for clues a lot because you're investigating a murder. Now, the cozy move you can make when you're in your cozy place, having a moment with another Maven, and that allows you to remove any conditions you might have picked up. Conditions are bad.
Like osteoporosis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or in your case, syphilis.
What? She was safe. For the 40s.
And once per mystery, only once per mystery, any Maven can say, this reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt. And you work with the other players to describe something that happened in one of the Gold Crown mysteries. And, obviously how it applies to the current mystery. Then you can make an occult move. This is when you engage in an activity related to supernatural or the occult for the first time. So, like the first time you find a spell book, that would be an occult move. Now, when the game begins, your murder mavens exist in the real world. You have no real experience with the supernatural or the occult.
Of course not.
Right. The next move is, in many ways, one of the most important ones, and it's called Theorize. This is when the Mavens have an open, freewheeling discussion about the solution to a mystery once they have gathered a number of clues equal to at least half the mystery's complexity. Basically, it's when the characters get together, assemble all the evidence, and figure out who did it. And you'll have to figure it out because there are no canonical solutions to a Brindlewood Bay mystery.
Oh, okay.
The solution is whatever the players come up with at the table based on the clues they have.
Okay.
And again, this is one of those great scenes in a mystery story where they're puzzling who could have done it. It's like at the end of the show, that always ends with, I think I know who did it. Call the judge. And then the next scene is the big reveal or whatever.
This kind of subverts what you might expect when it comes to solving a mystery. Kyle has not pre-planned in advance what the solution to this is. We are literally making shit up, and when we roll the die, it will tell us whether or not it's correct.
Right, because you can be incorrect.
Yeah.
If you roll 6 or less, your theory is wrong. And basically, I revealed to you just how terrible that is. So one other note, conditions, again, mentioned those briefly earlier. Those are traits that cause you to make die rolls at a disadvantage if it would plausibly hinder you. You can have up to 3. If you would ever take a 4th one, you instead mark one of your crowns, and you don't get to use the crown. And conditions are removed as a result of moves, mainly your cozy move. And those are the real rules I wanted to cover. So you guys have any questions?
No.
I don't know. I don't really want to play this. I want to play G.I.
Your
Joe.
character's so good.
The void is what James Garner called my noo-noo.
This woman is going to be a hoot.
Corey is the most excited.
That's what James Garner said.
Then let us begin our first mystery of Brindlewood Bay.
I just told you I don't want to fucking play this.
You don't want to play any of the games we play.
Eh.
This one is titled Dad Overboard.
Hi there, you have reached the home of Lurleen, Kitten Ivy. You can call me Kitten. I'm not available right now, and I don't have one of them cell phones. I think they're of the devil. So please just leave your name and number at the beep. Thank you, hon. Hey, Hey, Lurleen, this is the great Kazoo. You called our 1-800 number 3 days ago and ordered the Kazoo Carbon Collection from Kazoo Enterprises in Raleigh, North Carolina. We'll be sending you 4 kazoos every day for the next year. Kazoo! You'll be billed $24.95 for each kazoo. Kazoo!
I think Kitten's task during this episode would be to find the time to cancel the kazoo order.
So we open on this week's meeting on the top floor of the Candlelight Booksellers of the Murder Mavens Mystery Book Club. The three of you are in the loft where you hold your Murder Maven meetings. What do we see that shows how each of you have personalized the space? Because this is in New England. I'm assuming this is an old building, at least 200 years old. Paned windows, big thick curtains. How have you made it your own, though?
Lurleen sits next to a table lamp that is made completely of spoons.
Yeah. Splenda has a photo of her and Carol Lombard on the wall.
We've once again selected characters that are right on point for our audience.
Yeah. They're in bondage gear.
The photo was done by...
Oh, Maplethorpe, of course.
We used to romp together.
Bertie is kind of situated in one of those gigantic trunks that actually has like a seat and a table and stuff like inside it, like one of those fold-out secretaries. It's one of her favorite antique finds, and of course, every time you open it, since she is accustomed to being in a bingo hall, it's like just opening a dishwasher mid-cycle, the cigarette smoke that comes pouring out.
Oh, hey.
So just as you're settling down to discuss the latest Robert Masterson novel that you've reread, because you guys have had book club meetings about all of them, there's a knock on the door, and there's no time given for you to answer it. It opens, and in walks Sheriff Wyman Dalrymple.
Oh.
He's younger than you, of course, but not by much. Near to retirement. Jolly, paunchy, and whenever he talks to you, he just sounds constantly exasperated. You assume that's just his natural state. Why would he show that sort of exasperation with you, ladies?
He's getting too old for this shit.
He's getting too old.
And we're lovely.
He looks at you, he's got his hat in his hand, and he looks a bit put out, and he says, well, that's the only place I could think to come to. You know, I don't have any good detectives in this town.
Oh, yeah, don't I know it?
Right now, nobody's calling it murder, but I'm pretty sure it's murder. Have you ever heard of wealthy financier Albert Krauss?
Yes.
Somehow,
Know him quite well.
somehow, Splenda, I knew you would.
Honey, I'm going to field this one for you. If the answer to that question is always yes, and it's always from one direction.
The band?
Well, Krauss was out on his yacht with his family. They were having a little vacation here in Brindlewood Bay, and story goes that he was drunk and fell overboard. They're fishing his body out by Fisherman's Wharf as we speak, but...
That reminds me of when I was Natalie Wood's swimming coach.
Well, I've gone over the yacht, I've looked at the body, and I can't find any evidence of foul play, but something about it stinks, and I just don't mean the old cod.
Was Ted Kennedy there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He hasn't killed anybody since Chappaquiddick.
Sure he hasn't. Don't look into Adam Walsh.
There's like a cut scene of Ted Kennedy emerging from the shadows and garroting some dude and just drags him back into the darkness. It's the Boston Strangler for 40 years.
Right. He was the Zodiac, yeah. Wasn't Ted Cruz, turns out.
So I'd like you to look into it. Unofficially, don't go trying to arrest anybody like you did the last time. Just come tell me, bring, your evidence to the sheriff.
So shoot to kill. Got it.
I said not like the last time.
Oh, I see.
Because the family insists nothing bad happened and they want to take the body back to Boston. And you know what'll happen when those flapjacks up in Boston get a hold of the body.
Well, you know what we always require, or at least what I require when we give you some help. One of those really nice antique credenzas over at your sheriff's office.
Those are the property of the city. I'm a sheriff, and I'm not a corrupt one. I cannot simply give away furniture.
If you want our help, you will.
I'll think about it.
We must stop that body from getting to Boston. I knew Ted Williams well enough to know that no dead bodies go unmolested in Boston.
Good Lord.
What? It's true.
A lot of people don't know this, Sheriff, but Splenda still is a pen pal with the frozen head of Ted Williams.
I believe that. Look, the body will be at the morgue by the time you get down there. Family's all on the yacht. We don't know who's responsible, so everyone's a suspect. Well, the family, of course. I mean, not me.
I just want to say this is a terrible cop.
Yeah.
Passing it off to elderly women.
That's better than just not doing it.
Well, girls, I reckon we should get down there to that yacht and start talking to the family members, unless, of course, y'all want to go by the morgue first and take a look at that body.
Well, I'm always one for perusing dead old artifacts, so I vote we go to the morgue first and gather up some evidence before we talk to the family.
I was Leif Garrett's wet nurse.
So, going to the morgue, who's driving? Or are you going to take public transit? It's New England. They have that.
Bertie won bus tickets on the last bingo night, so she'll sponsor our journey.
It's the shittiest prize. Fucking bus tickets. Not even a fruitcake. Come on.
Ride the red line for a week for free.
Woohoo.
You guys take the bus to the county morgue, or the town morgue.
Yeah, that's a place it stops.
Yeah, it's right by the public library.
Yeah.
You go inside and you go directly down to the examination room where Dr. Paul Martin, Patreon member Paul Martin,
Thank you, Paul.
is examining the body. Dr. Martin knows you all. He is definitely past the age of retirement. A silvered hair fox.
Ew.
Well, how you ladies doing? Interrupted with spurts of the bone saw as he cuts Albert Krause's head open.
Jesus.
I was just about to open up, Mr. Krause. The sheriff told me you might be coming.
God.
I'll be done in just a second. Sheriff told me you might want to look for something suspicious. I didn't find nothing. He got this big whelp on his noggin, and he cuts it to like a giant bruise.
God.
He's not known for his professionalism.
Excuse me, Paul. Paul.
He stops, raises the hood on his face covering.
It's like a welding mask.
Yeah.
God.
Spits out a tooth, not his.
Jeez.
I believe there's a bruise on that forehead that you just cut into right there.
Well, shit, kitten, I picked that spot because it's easier to cut. You don't think it's important, do you?
Well, you're, of course, you are the expert, but...
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
But why don't you take the top of that head that you've already removed and just stick it back on there so we can get a good look at that bruise and see if it resembles perhaps a weapon or some sort of blunt object?
Well, let me get some duct tape. I tell you what, let me get this tucked back on there, then I'm going to go take a pack of smokes break, and I'll let you gals do whatever you want to this body.
All right. God bless you, Paul.
This reminds me of hanging out with Kirk Douglas.
So he duct tapes the skull cap back on
Yeah.
and goes out to smoke a pack of Marlboros. Because it's the 80s, you know.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's the 80s. Everything is a pack of smokes, lead paint, and no catalytic converters.
Yeah.
I don't know if we actually said our adventure was going to take place in the 80s. I just assumed since all your characters were in their prime in the 60s, we didn't want them to be literally dead.
Well,
That's the problem. I didn't even think about that when I was creating my character because to me, like all old people were alive in the 60s, like current, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
that's because we're almost old people.
Yeah, exactly. It's creeping up.
Yeah, I saw District 9. I saw a thing that said, District 9, a 2000 whatever movie, and I did the math, and it came out 15 years ago, which made me think, oh, when I was a teenager, 15 years ago would have been 1980. You know, and to me, I think of District 9 as a movie, oh, that just came out.
No, it really didn't.
It really didn't.
We've had Chappie since then.
Yeah. Oh. So our game takes place in the 80s before Chappie.
Pre-Chappie.
Pre-Chappie. Yeah, so you guys have the body of Albert Krause, who is definitely dead.
All right, so Bertie leans in to examine the body. She is used to scrutinizing the quality of the prizes given out at bingo night, so she has one of those jeweler's glasses that she sticks in one eye.
Just for bingo.
Yeah,
Just good. I'm glad she's got her priorities straight.
just to examine how high quality that infinity bracelet is that they're giving away.
So I assume this is a meddling move where you're searching for a clue?
Yeah, I'm going to look the body up and down and just see what I see.
Okay, so I don't think there are any conditions, positive or negative on this, so it's just a flat roll.
Okay. Can I choose the abilities of mine that I can use to modify the roll, or does one get assigned?
I think it really depends on what you're doing.
In searching for a clue and searching for kind of like what Todd was describing, trying to make deductions out of the shape of the body, or the shape that the body is in, rather, and any identifying marks or features or anything like that, I'm going to say this is a reason.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so that'll be a +1 modifier. Rolling 2d6. That's a total of 8.
Okay, that's not that bad. That's a 7 and 9. So 7 and 9 means that there's a complication. Now, that complication is either going to be with the clue or a complication you encounter while searching. The keeper will tell you what the complication is. Birdie is examining the body, and you also look at the personal items that had been collected in a bin nearby, and it's clothes and personal effects wallet and everything. His wristwatch is there, still ticking.
Ah, okay.
Right? But it is set 2 hours late. This is the 80s. This is a classic, very expensive wristwatch that's not waterproof.
Yeah.
And still ticking along smoothly.
This reminds me of how Harry Belafonte always kept his watch to Calcutta time. Strange man.
So you are looking at the watch, and as you examine it and turn it over in your hands, you hear a shriek. What is going on in here? You turn to look at the doorway to the examination room, and of course everything in here is white-walled and sterile. Dr. Paul Martin does keep it clean despite his somewhat lackadaisical behavior with corpses. But standing in the doorway is not Dr. Martin. It is a gray-haired fastidious man in a very nice suit with a look of horror on his face. What are you doing to Mr. Krause? I demand you brigands leave immediately.
We're kind of the police.
So, Corey, I'm assuming Splenda has bedded Mr. Krause in the past?
She's been friendly with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know that this is Andrew, Mr. Krause's butler.
Ooh, okay.
And as we've established in some of our previous games, you haven't bedded Andrew because, of course, all butlers are eunuchs.
That's right.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
It's a very different...
Yes, that is a particular piece of canon I had lost.
The 80s were different in Massachusetts.
It was just, did that end in the 80s, Kyle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Starting in the 90s, if you're a butler,
You got to keep it.
get it on.
Yeah.
Well, it was legislation that Ted Kennedy sponsored.
Yeah.
He got tired of killing him. Oh, Butler beating Kennedy, they called him.
Well, you get carpal tunnel after so much sawing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And for all future games, of course, it is now canon that Ted Kennedy is a serial killer.
Who only killed butlers.
Is that a conspiracy theory? Can we get that going?
Sure. I mean,
Listen,
why not?
if you're a fan of this show, help start the Ted Kennedy serial killer conspiracy theory.
Yep.
Why not?
Just go to 4chan or Reddit or something and just float the idea. Yeah. Let's see how long it takes to...
He built RFK Jr. out of the parts.
That explains a lot, actually. Explains a lot. Yeah. So the butler looks genuinely horrified that there are three strangers rifling through his belongings, and he is screaming for you to get out, looking down the halls, clearly looking for some sort of authority figure or police officer.
Well, now, hun, don't get those panties in a wad. We work for Paul, the coroner.
And the cops.
Splenda pulls her piece.
Down on the ground, motherfucker.
To her, it's a piece. What is it actually, Corey?
Well, it's an actual gun because I can use my Maven move, Remington Steel. You're very talented at passing yourself off as someone you're not.
Ooh.
So if there's a piece of identification or disguise that would help you with your ruse, you have it. Say what it is and add it to your cozy little place. I got a gun.
Even better, you have Sheriff Dalrymple's gun because you took it when he was in the meeting.
Nimble fingers.
There's this flashback where he's talking and exhorting one of the other ones. He just calmly pull his revolver out of the holster.
Learned that from hanging out with Pol Pot.
Sure, Pol Pot, the famous thief.
Oh, Pol Pot, the pickpocket.
Well known for his sleight of hand.
Yeah. Pickpocketing, 3-card money, genocide.
Yeah, just a little light genocide on the side.
Yeah.
That's how he distracted him.
Yeah.
Oh, look over here. Where's my hand? Death camp.
Is this your card?
No, that's my husband.
Or it was. Pol Pot's funny. God. I told you we shouldn't play this game. Nobody listens to Corey.
This is the best game we've ever played.
Dear God.
So I feel like this is a day move. This is definitely something risky.
Okay.
So name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve.
I feel like on the TV show there would be just like a quick flashback to Cambodia.
Oh, yeah. This show is filled with, like, Family Guy-esque cutaways.
Yeah.
God.
Sitting in a Khmer Rouge camp.
Right.
So, Corey, what's the thing that you fear will happen most if Splenda loses her nerve or fails to intimidate the butler?
I guess the thing she fears most is this will somehow lead to the authorities finding the rest of her guns. There are many.
Are they all Sheriff Dalrymple's?
No, many of them are my husband's.
Many lawmen from out the history.
I see.
Yeah. Elliot Ness got his Tommy gun.
She has Oswald's Maliker Carcano.
So to me, that says that if this messes up, Sheriff Dalrymple's going to realize his gun is missing.
Yeah.
And come find it.
Okay.
What ability applies here, do you think?
Composure?
Sure.
Okay. She has a 2 in composure.
Oh, damn.
She's been under pressure before.
Pressure was her nickname for Jackie Gleason.
That is an 11.
Nice.
So on a 10 or better on a day move, you do what you intended, and you get to describe what it looks like when Andrew completely buys that you're cops.
He gets face down on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Miss Ham. Yeah, he gets down on the ground, hands over his head. He's just weeping piteously. Please don't hurt Mr. Krause's body.
We're not here to hurt his body. We're here to look for clues.
Yes, and hun, while you're down there on the ground, just please remember that in addition to being cops, we are also senior citizens, so we demand double respect.
Right.
Hand over all your coupons.
Todd, said you were going to look for clues, right?
Yes, I'm going to make a meddling move. Lurleen is going to take out her clue spoon, which is the
Okay.
special spoon she uses to measure wounds.
God.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the one she got at the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Got it.
Well, of which we're all familiar.
Yes.
Yeah.
You dip it to see how much the blood's coagulated, Kyle.
It's science.
It's a teaspoon-sized wound.
So she takes it and places it on the forehead, and it's larger than the spoon.
Okay.
So roll your meddling move.
All right.
She's into trepanning.
All right. So that's going to be, I'm going to say reason. I have a 1, so 2d6s. That's an 11.
Bam.
So that's a hit. You find a clue without a complication. Due to her detailed forensic knowledge of wounds, bruising, Kitten comes to the conclusion that this wound was caused by the butt of a pistol. Not just any pistol, but a small pistol. Maybe a .38, something small enough to keep in a handbag.
Blenda slowly puts the gun behind her back.
Yep. There's no question, ladies. This bruise was caused by the butt of a pistol. The spoon don't lie.
I hate to break it to you, Andrew, but we suspect there's malfeasance involved in your dad's death.
Mr. Krause was not my father. I'm the butler. Remember the eunuch butler?
Oh,
Oh, we haven't had to deal with Mr. Feasons in quite a while.
So the only thing I'm going to rule that you have gathered all the physical evidence you can from the body, but you can question Andrew. He was on the boat. He's the Krause family butler.
Okay.
tell us what you remember about that night on the boat.
Oh, and Andrew, if you would like to get up off the ground, you feel free to do that, hun.
Oh, thank you. He gets up and climbs into one of the chairs in the examination room, takes out a very fine lace handkerchief and wipes his eyes. I was just getting ready for bed. Everyone else had settled down, mostly drunken stupors, as is the Krause family tradition. And who is going to roll their meddling move to question him in detail about what he might or might not reveal?
If it requires sensitivity, as in questioning a bereaved person, that's not Birdie.
Nor is it Kitten.
Nope.
Perfect. That's
Awesome.
Exactly what it requires.
Yeah. So I think we're probably all -1 on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
This reminds me of when I used to drink absinthe with the unsinkable Molly Brown.
So we all suck, so whoever wants to roll, have at it.
Kitten will make a run at old Andrew.
Okay.
Okay. Start to say I should not roll
Agreed.
for the group at large.
Ever.
Do I ask a question first and then roll?
No, just roll, and judging on how well you do, you'll get information related
Okay.
to whatever questions you actually ask.
So Kitten begins firing a very insensitive barrage of questions at poor Andrew. Well, that's going to be a 5.
Nice.
5. All right. So for meddling move again, a 5. Yeah, you don't find a clue. So the butler snivels. Well, I was just about to go to bed, and I heard a commotion on deck. I thought it might be pirates because, we're outside Brindlewood Bay. God knows what's in these waters. So I crept out on deck, and I could just see feet. But I heard voices, and I tell you, it was Mr. Krause, and then the lights go out for the whole morgue. You hear a bang!
Sorry.
And we're going to end the session there.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Cliffhanger.
Pol Pot strikes again.
Oh, did I say Pol Pot? I mean Paul Pot. He was my reefer dealer.
So, yeah, we'll pick back up next episode to determine the end of that failed meddling move.
Okay.
Well, gotta say, fan of Brindlewood Bay.
Oh, yeah. That's
Thus
fun.
far.
Yeah, a lot of good intrigue.
Yeah, it seems like there's going to be a lot of cool different ways to do the moves and that kind of thing. Seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a very well, I think, mechanically designed game, just judging from so far.
And I enjoy the fact that we're kind of making up the mystery as we go along. It's not like a set in stone kind of thing we have to
I've always had the most trouble running mystery games in RPGs.
Oh, any gamifying mystery in general is super difficult because in order for you to prompt us, you have to honestly give us something that usually kind of gives the game away a little bit.
And it's kind of hard for our format being a podcast. Like mysteries can be pretty tough because our sessions are shorter than most typical sessions are.
Oh, I think it's...
And we go week to week.
Yeah.
With our recording schedule, so we forget half this shit.
I think it's hard in just regular games.
Yeah.
I think we ran into this problem when we were playing Dune.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that was a mystery that we had to, and Kyle kept lobbing pretty obvious clues our way, and we just glossed over a lot of them.
It.
Yeah.
Every time I've run any sort of mystery, it's always the Boblin the Goblin type problem, which if you're not familiar with that meme, it's the players walk into a tavern and you describe this badass NPC and they're like, who else is here? And the GM just makes up, Boblin the Goblin. And they go talk to that guy. It's like you describe Aragorn and Boblin. No, Boblin. No.
Let's talk to Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's literally when the system is in place that sets the expectation that the players have to somehow, quote unquote, outthink the GM. It's always going to turn out like that because Kyle's going to have this, great setup for a great plot of intrigue that involves the people at the very top of the command of order, and we're like, hey, let's go check out how the sewer system works.
Right.
And if any of the three of us could outthink Kyle, we would have already stopped his nefarious plans for the human race.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I'm wearing shackles right now, so you do the best.
He's kidding. Shut up, Austin. But this seems to be a pretty good way to do it. It means I don't have to worry about stressing out and giving you clues that all point to something, and I can still punish your characters when you fail rolls.
Cool.
So it's really the best of both worlds for GM.
Right.
Oh, man, and I forgot Lurlene's special answering machine task. She's going to come home to a shitload of kazoos.
Well, that's the whole mystery.
Yeah.
So you still have time.
You still have sessions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's Brindlewood Bay for this week. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Speaking of Brindlewood Bay, Norse Foundry.
Good segue, Todd.
Thanks. I used to work in advertising. But NorseFoundry.com, they have all manner of beautiful dice made of all manner of materials.
Maybe there's some made of Brindlewood. You don't fucking know. Go look.
Yeah, I mean, they got dice, they got other kind of merch, and if you apply promo code CHAM at checkout, you will get the Bastard Quest 10% discount.
It's true.
NorseFoundry.com.
Yeah,
There's a clue for you.
That's CHAM, CHAM.
Correct.
And also thank you to our sponsor, Barrel and Bond, 100 Broadway Street in beautiful downtown Paducah, right on the banks of Brindlewood Bay.
It's true.
Paducah's somehow secretly in Massachusetts.
It's a portal.
Look out for that dude in the bathroom. He is not a coroner.
Well, thanks for listening. We appreciate all our listens and our Patreon members. One Patreon member made it in, Dr. Paul Martin, who I'm sure he's going to be incredibly pleased about how he's portrayed as a completely professional mortician.
He's going to play it for all his friends.
Yeah. But thank you very much. I'm Kyle.
I'm Todd.
Corey.
Austin.